Iran has unveiled a new generation of weapons that fundamentally alter the dynamics of Middle Eastern conflict. Tehran's hypersonic missile program, developed and deployed with remarkable speed, represents a technological leap that threatens not only Israel and regional allies, but potentially the continental United States itself. The Fattah series, the Khorramshahr variants, and the newer Etemad missiles represent a dramatic shift in Iran's military capabilities, combining speed, maneuverability, and striking power that existing air defense systems struggle to counter. How did Iran achieve these technological breakthroughs so rapidly? What makes these hypersonic weapons different from conventional ballistic missiles? And most critically, what does Iran's possession of these systems mean for American security and the stability of the global order? Join us as we examine Iran's hypersonic missile arsenal that can wipe out the US in just 40 seconds. For decades, Iran has pursued ballistic missiles as the cornerstone of its deterrent strategy. Lacking modern fighter aircraft due to Western sanctions and technological embargoes, Tehran invested heavily in developing cruise missiles, short-range ballistic missiles, and medium-range ballistic missiles that could strike regional adversaries and deter American military intervention. By 2025, American military assessments indicated that Iran possessed over 3,000 ballistic missiles of various ranges and types, the largest and most diverse missile arsenal in the Middle East. These weapons served multiple purposes simultaneously. They deterred Israeli military action, deterred Saudi Arabian interventions in regional proxy conflicts, demonstrated resolve to domestic audiences, and provided Tehran with a credible capability to impose costs on adversaries in any future conflict. However, traditional ballistic missiles possess significant limitations that concerned Iranian military planners. Conventional ballistic missiles follow predictable parabolic trajectories that radar systems can track and anticipate. Once a radar locks onto an incoming ballistic missile, air defense systems can calculate its trajectory, predict its impact point, and position interceptors to destroy it during the mid-course or terminal phases of flight. Israel's Iron Dome system demonstrated this principle repeatedly, with interception rates exceeding 90% against traditional ballistic missiles during the June 2025 conflict. The Patriot air defense system, deployed by the United States and numerous regional allies, similarly achieved high interception rates against conventional ballistic missiles. These defense systems created an environment in which simply launching ballistic missiles in large numbers no longer guaranteed that many would reach their targets. The answer to this defensive challenge came in the form of hypersonic weapons. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that fly on predictable arcs through space, hypersonic missiles travel at velocities exceeding Mach 5, 5 times the speed of sound, or approximately 3,800 miles per hour. These extreme velocities generate unique physical characteristics that conventional air defense systems cannot effectively counter. The intense heat generated by hypersonic flight creates plasma sheaths around the warhead, disrupting radar signals and preventing conventional tracking systems from maintaining accurate fixes on the moving target. The compressed time frames involved a missile traveling at Mach 5, which covered ground so rapidly that radar operators and air defense crews have only seconds to react, leaving insufficient time for multiple interception attempts. More importantly, many hypersonic missiles incorporate maneuverable re-entry vehicles, or hypersonic glide vehicles, that allow the warhead to alter its flight path during terminal approach phases. Traditional ballistic missiles cannot maneuver once they re-enter the atmosphere. They follow a fixed, predictable descent toward their target. Hypersonic glide vehicles, by contrast, can execute banking turns, perform evasive maneuvers, and adjust their flight trajectory in response to incoming air defense missiles. This maneuverability renders conventional air defense calculations obsolete, as the missile changes course after the defense system has committed its interceptor to a calculated intercept point. The combination of extreme velocity and maneuverability creates a weapon that challenges even the most advanced air defense systems ever built. Iran's first entry into this emerging domain came with the announcement and subsequent unveiling of the Fattah 1 missile in June 2023. Brigadier General Amir Ali Hajizadeh, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force, described the Fattah 1 as a major generational leap in Iranian missile technology. The missile incorporated a two-stage solid propellant booster topped with a maneuverable re-entry vehicle equipped with a small solid rocket motor for terminal phase maneuvering. This design allowed the Fattah 1 to achieve sustained hypersonic speeds exceeding Mach 13 in the mid-course phase and maintain velocities above Mach 5 during terminal descent. The missile featured a range of 1,400 kilometers, sufficient to strike targets throughout Israel and into parts of southern Europe. More significantly for American planners, the design represented the first successful integration of maneuverable re-entry vehicles with hypersonic speed ballistic missiles, a technological achievement that had eluded most nations despite decades of development effort. The Fattah 1's appearance triggered alarm among Israeli and American defense officials. Israeli analysts acknowledged that the missile's extreme speed and terminal phase maneuverability exceeded the interception capabilities of their existing Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow air defense systems. These systems, among the most advanced in the world, were optimized to intercept conventional ballistic missiles and maneuvering cruise missiles. But a weapon combining the speed of ballistic missiles with the evasive maneuverability of cruise missiles presented novel technical challenges. The missile's speed reduced reaction time from minutes to seconds. The plasma sheath surrounding the warhead degraded radar tracking quality. The maneuvering re-entry vehicle executed evasive patterns that defeated predictive interception calculations. For the first time, Israeli military planners acknowledged that no existing air defense system could guarantee interception of all incoming Fattah 1 missiles. Iran moved quickly to leverage this technological breakthrough into more advanced variants. In November 2023, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps unveiled the Fattah 2, an enhanced variant incorporating a full hypersonic glide vehicle instead of a simple maneuverable re-entry vehicle. Iranian officials claimed the Fattah 2 achieved speeds up to Mach 15 and featured enhanced maneuverability that would allow it to penetrate the most advanced air defense systems. While Western analysts expressed skepticism about the full extent of Iran's claims, pointing out that the Fattah 1 had not demonstrated flawless reliability, the existence of a second-generation hypersonic missile variant indicated that Iran possessed a viable technological pathway for sustained advancement in this critical weapons category. The June 2025 conflict between Iran and Israel provided the first real-world test of Iran's hypersonic missiles in combat operations. Following Israeli airstrikes targeting Iranian nuclear facilities on June 22, Tehran launched a massive retaliatory strike employing hundreds of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and unmanned aerial vehicles. According to multiple international sources, this strike involved approximately 400 missiles, with over 40 penetrating Israeli air defenses to cause significant damage to military and civilian targets. The strikes killed at least 24 people in Israel, wounded hundreds, and forced millions of Israeli citizens into underground shelters. The successful penetration of Israeli air defenses by such a significant percentage of missiles indicated that Iran's new hypersonic weapons were performing as designed, defeating existing interception systems through a combination of velocity, maneuverability, and coordinated saturation attacks. Notably, Iranian sources indicated that the full Fattah series had not been employed during the June conflict. Iranian military officials suggested that restraint in deploying the most advanced systems reflected strategic calculations about escalation and deterrence rather than limitations on Iranian capabilities. In December 2025, a senior Israeli analyst with access to intelligence assessments noted that Iran had refrained from using its most sophisticated missile systems, including the advanced hypersonic missiles, during the June conflict and in earlier exchanges in April and October. This restraint suggested that Iranian leadership viewed hypersonic missiles as reserve weapons to be held in abeyance for future crises or escalation phases, rather than as immediate offensive tools to be expended in early exchanges. In 2025, Iran introduced the Khorramshahr 4, an upgraded version of its earlier medium-range ballistic missiles incorporating hypersonic glide vehicle capabilities. With a range exceeding 2,000 kilometers and the capacity to carry a warhead weighing 1,500 kilograms, the Khorramshahr 4 represented a significant upgrade over previous variants. Iranian sources stated that this missile could alter its trajectory mid-flight, a key feature of hypersonic glide vehicles that enables them to bypass missile defenses and strike high-value targets with pinpoint accuracy. The speed and maneuverability of the Khorramshahr 4 made it a serious challenge for regional missile defense systems, including Israel's Arrow and David's Sling, as well as the American Patriot systems deployed throughout the Persian Gulf. Iran also accelerated development of the Etemad missile, which is capable of traveling 1,700 kilometers and features advanced guidance systems and terminal phase maneuverability characteristics. Combined with the existing Khorramshahr precision strike ballistic missile, which achieved ranges of 1,450 kilometers, Iran had assembled a credible portfolio of advanced missiles spanning a spectrum of ranges, speeds, and operational characteristics. The collective effect of these systems created an integrated arsenal that posed challenges at multiple levels to air defense planners, as different missile types required different interception strategies and defensive measures. The speed of Iran's advancement in hypersonic weapons technology triggered extensive analysis regarding potential foreign assistance. Israeli and American intelligence officials pointed toward evidence of Russian and Chinese technological collaboration. Iran had historically obtained critical technologies from Russia and North Korea, including rocket motors, guidance systems, and design concepts that accelerated missile development timelines. The rapid maturation of Iranian hypersonic capabilities suggested that Tehran had received significant technical assistance from more advanced nations with established hypersonic weapons programs. China possessed advanced hypersonic missile systems and had consistently provided missile-related technologies to Iran despite international sanctions. Russia, operating under no constraints following its invasion of Ukraine and subsequent isolation from Western technology, had substantial incentives to support Iranian weapons development as a means of complicating American strategic calculations globally. The technical challenges involved in developing hypersonic weapons are formidable, and most countries lack the capacity to manufacture them independently. Western analysts noted that hypersonic missiles must withstand extreme thermal stresses, incorporating advanced materials capable of surviving temperatures exceeding thousands of degrees during ascent and re-entry. The guidance systems require extraordinary precision to function at hypersonic speeds, where even minute deviations cascade into significant trajectory errors across vast distances. The rockets that launch hypersonic glide vehicles to extreme altitudes must operate flawlessly, as any failure cascades into complete mission loss. Manufacturing such complex systems at scale requires industrial infrastructure, supply chains, quality control processes, and technical expertise that most nations do not possess. The rapidity of Iran's transition from the announcement of hypersonic missile development to the actual deployment of multiple variants suggested either extraordinary engineering achievement or, more likely, substantial external assistance from nations with established hypersonic capabilities. The strategic implications of Iran's hypersonic arsenal extend far beyond the Middle East. Iran explicitly declared that its ballistic missiles could reach targets across Europe, and Iranian officials asserted that all European countries lay within range of at least some Iranian missiles. The development of increasingly capable medium-range and long-range ballistic missiles with hypersonic characteristics transformed Iran's military posture from a regional deterrent into a nascent global actor. More critically, Iranian officials and state media repeatedly stated that Iran was pursuing intercontinental ballistic missile capabilities capable of striking the continental United States. In January 2026, Iran claimed successful testing of an intercontinental ballistic missile with a range of approximately 3,700 miles, reportedly fired from an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps base in Semnan province toward Siberia with Russian approval. The technical pathway toward developing operational intercontinental ballistic missiles lay partially open to Iran through its ostensibly civilian space launch program. The development of heavy-lift launch vehicles for satellite deployment shares substantial technical overlap with long-range missile systems. Rocket motors, guidance systems, multi-stage propulsion concepts, and nose-cone designs employed in space launch vehicles can be directly applied to intercontinental ballistic missile development. The international community, including the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, had repeatedly warned that Iranian space launch activities represented a cover for testing technologies directly applicable to developing long-range ballistic missiles. American intelligence assessments indicated that Iran possessed the technical capability to develop a militarily viable intercontinental ballistic missile by 2035, should Tehran make the strategic decision to pursue this capability actively. The combination of Iranian hypersonic missiles and progress toward intercontinental ballistic capabilities created unprecedented challenges for American strategic planning. The United States had invested decades and hundreds of billions of dollars developing missile defense systems designed to intercept incoming ballistic missiles. The Patriot system, the Terminal High Altitude Air Defense System, known as THAAD, the Aegis Air Defense System aboard naval vessels, and the ground-based mid-course defense system protecting the continental United States were optimized against conventional ballistic missiles following predictable parabolic trajectories. Hypersonic missiles, with their extreme velocities and maneuverable re-entry vehicles, fundamentally challenged the assumptions upon which these defense systems rested. More fundamentally, the Pentagon faced severe constraints in expanding interceptor production despite surging demand. During the June 2025 conflict between Iran and Israel, the United States provided Israel with air defense interceptors to supplement Israel's own stocks. The provision of these interceptors revealed a critical vulnerability. The pace of producing air defense interceptors, particularly the high-technology variants suitable for engaging ballistic missiles, lagged far behind consumption rates in actual conflicts. Pentagon procurement plans called for purchasing only 37 THAAD interceptors in 2026, a minuscule number compared to the quantities that would be expended in any serious conflict with Iran. The production facilities operated by Lockheed Martin manufactured fewer than 20 THAAD interceptors annually, a rate that would require decades to build replacement stocks after losses suffered in actual combat. Similar constraints affected production of Patriot interceptors and other air defense systems, creating a situation where the United States faced potential exhaustion of air defense inventories in any extended conflict with Iran. American military officials responded to the Iranian hypersonic missile threat by emphasizing the necessity for rapid action against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile facilities. The strategy centered on preemptive strikes designed to degrade Iranian missile production capacity, destroy missile storage facilities, and suppress Iranian air defense systems before they could effectively engage American aircraft and missiles. Following the June 2025 Israeli strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities, the United States launched additional airstrikes on June 22, targeting nuclear facilities at Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordo, and reportedly also striking ballistic missile production facilities and storage sites. These strikes allegedly obliterated Iran's nuclear program, though Iranian officials disputed the severity of damage and indicated that crucial program elements had survived the damage. By January 2026, the Pentagon had positioned an unprecedented military force in the Middle Eastern region to conduct potential strikes against Iran. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, which had been operating in the South China Sea in December, transited toward the Middle East through the Strait of Malacca in the Indian Ocean, positioning itself to launch airstrikes against Iranian targets within days. The carrier group carried advanced F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters equipped with sophisticated sensors and weapon systems capable of penetrating Iranian air defenses, suppressing radar sites, and striking hardened targets. The strike group also operated EA-18G Growler electronic attack aircraft designed to jam Iranian radar and communication systems, reducing the effectiveness of Iranian air defenses during combat operations. Additional F-15E Strike Eagles arrived in the Middle East, providing supplementary strike capability and air-to-air combat power. High-mobility artillery rocket systems, the advanced weapons platform that had proven devastatingly effective in Ukraine, were deployed to the region for potential operations against Iranian targets. American air defense planners attempted to mitigate the threat posed by Iran's hypersonic missiles through deployment of additional THAAD and Patriot batteries to the Persian Gulf region. These systems created layered air defenses designed to intercept incoming missiles at multiple altitudes and phases of flight, with the hope that some missiles would be destroyed before reaching their targets. However, even American military planners acknowledged the limitations of this approach. No air defense system achieves 100% interception rates, particularly against saturation attacks involving hundreds of missiles simultaneously. If Iran launched hundreds of hypersonic missiles in coordinated attacks, even an interception rate exceeding 90% would allow sufficient numbers to penetrate American defenses and strike critical targets, potentially destroying military bases, killing significant numbers of service members and causing strategic surprise that complicates American decision-making in response. The diplomatic and political dimensions of Iran's hypersonic missile development added complexity to American strategic calculations. Throughout January 2026, Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, issued increasingly direct threats against the United States, warning that Tehran would respond with everything we have if we come under renewed attack. These threats explicitly referenced Iran's ballistic missile arsenal and implicitly referenced the hypersonic weapon systems that had not been fully deployed in previous conflicts. Iranian military officials warned that any American strike on Iranian territory would trigger immediate retaliatory strikes against American bases throughout the Middle East, with particular emphasis on bases in Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates. The IRGC commander, General Mohammad Pakpour, warned Israel and the United States to avoid any miscalculation and asserted that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps had its finger on the trigger and was more prepared than ever to implement strikes ordered by Iranian supreme leadership. These rhetorical postures served multiple purposes simultaneously. They signaled resolve to domestic constituencies concerned about American military intervention. They warned American officials of the costs of escalation. They telegraphed deterrent messages to potential adversaries that Iran possessed capabilities sufficient to impose unacceptable costs on attackers. And critically, they reflected genuine Iranian assessments that the development of hypersonic missile capabilities had substantially altered the military balance in the Middle East, reducing American military advantages and increasing the costs of any American military action against Iranian territory. Looking forward, the deployment of additional American military assets to the Middle East, the positioning of carrier strike groups within striking distance of Iranian territory, and the escalating rhetoric from both Iranian and American leaders suggested that the possibility of military conflict was approaching dangerous levels. Whether restraint would prevail, whether diplomatic solutions might yet emerge from the crisis, or whether miscalculation would trigger the catastrophic conflict that American and Iranian military planners had long feared, remained uncertain. What is certain is that Iran's development of hypersonic missile capabilities has fundamentally transformed the strategic environment in the Middle East and created a situation where the margin between deterrence and war has become perilously thin. In a shocking move, Iran tried to attack a United States aircraft carrier that was sailing in international waters. This was not just any ship. It was the main vessel in a powerful strike group, protected by warships and high-tech defense systems. Still, Iran went ahead with the attack. What happened next was intense. The United States reacted fast and forcefully, turning a possible disaster into a clear warning to Iran and anyone else watching. But why did Iran think they could get away with it? And how close did this come to starting a much bigger war? Join us as we break down the full story, from the moment the missile was fired to the big decisions that came right after. On March 15, 2024, the Houthis launched a surprise strike on the United States Navy's Harry S. Truman Strike Group. What followed turned into the biggest naval fight the United States had seen since World War II. At first glance, it might have looked like a clean win for the United States, but things were way more intense than they seemed. The whole thing came down to a few split seconds. And in today's battles, that is often all it takes to tip the scale between mission success and total disaster. That evening, around 6 o'clock, the strike group was on patrol about 50 miles off Yemen's coast. The fleet had the aircraft carrier Harry S. Truman, the cruiser Gettysburg, and 3 destroyers, Stout, Jason Dunham, and the Sullivans. These ships were not just floating targets. They were armed with Aegis combat systems, designed to take down incoming threats from the air or sea. Each ship held its position roughly 20 miles apart, creating a defensive net around the carrier. Then out of nowhere, radar teams on the Gettysburg and Stout picked up something strange, fast-moving objects closing in on the formation. These ships run on a system called SPY radar. It's the core sensor tech behind Aegis. This is like a giant octagon, about as tall as a 2-story house, and weighing close to 12 tons, packed with over 4,000 radar modules. Each ship has 4 of these panels, giving it complete 360-degree radar coverage. It works a bit like a supercharged flashlight, But instead of light, it sends out radar waves. When those waves hit something in the sky, like a missile, drone, or aircraft, they bounce back to the ship, letting the crew know exactly what's headed their way. The SPY radar system pulls about 6 megawatts of power. That is more than enough to light up a small town. That power lets the system detect threats nearly 192 miles out. And in this case, it gave the ships just enough warning to react. Without it, things could have ended a lot worse. To break it down, this is like trying to spot a speeding car from the top of a skyscraper. It could be viewed as a car that is almost 200 miles away and flying at 3 times the speed of sound. That is basically what this radar system is dealing with out in the middle of the ocean. With that much power behind it, enough to run a few thousand homes, it sends out radar waves that bounce off anything in the sky and send data back to the ship. That early detection made all the difference. The radar on United States Navy ships does more than just spot stuff in the sky. It figures out exactly what it's looking at. The SPY system runs hundreds of thousands of calculations every second, using onboard computers to sort out what's harmless and what's a real threat. It knows the difference between a bird, a patch of clouds, or an incoming missile. And when it picks up something dangerous, it alerts the crew instantly. On that day, it picked up something they could not ignore. As soon as the radar picked up those fast-moving targets, alarms went off across the strike group. The sailors were seasoned. They had been operating in this war zone for months and had already dealt with multiple attacks. But this one felt different. What they didn't know was that the Houthis had been holding back their most dangerous weapon for this exact moment. In response to earlier United States strikes, they launched their heaviest missile yet, the ASF. It was based on Iran's Fattah 313 design, packed with over 500 kilograms of explosives and flying at nearly 2,300 miles per hour. To make things worse, this missile was built to fly low, really low. It cruised just 60 feet above the ground, and once it hit the water, it dropped to around 16 feet above the surface. That move is called sea skimming. It's a way to stay under the radar, literally by flying so close to the waves that the signal gets blocked or distorted. Like a bird gliding just above the trees to stay hidden. By the time the radar fully locked on, the ships had maybe 15 to 30 seconds to respond. That's not much time when everything's moving at over 2,000 miles an hour. The USS Gettysburg was out front, acting as the fleet's forward watch. It was the first to catch the threat. As soon as the missile showed up on radar, the screens lit up. 2 fast-moving targets were closing in. The ship's computer quickly flagged the best move. Launch the Standard Missile-6, one of the Navy's top air defense weapons. The tactical action officer didn't wait. Within seconds, 3 SM-6 fired straight out of their vertical launch tubes, cutting through the sky to take out the incoming missiles before they got too close. The Standard Missile-6 is one of the Navy's top-tier air defense weapons. It moves at over 1 kilometer per second, just quick enough to catch something like the ASF missile before it reaches the fleet. Officially, it has a range of about 240 kilometers, but a lot of defense experts say it can actually go as far as 500. It can also hit targets flying at over 70,000 feet, which means it can intercept threats while they are still a long way off. Once it is launched, the SM-6 kicks on its own radar seeker. That radar sits right in the nose of the missile and helps it zero in on the target without needing constant updates from the ship. Older missiles like the SM-2 have to rely on the ship's radar to guide them until they're close enough to strike. But the SM-6 works differently. It starts scanning right after launch. That split-second advantage matters a lot, especially when people are trying to stop something moving faster than the speed of sound. Thanks to this speed and tracking power, the SM-6 missiles were able to locate and destroy both ASF sea-skimming missiles before they could reach the ships. It was a close call, but the United States defense held strong. Just as the crew breathed a sigh of relief, things took a dark turn. This was not the end. It was just the beginning. While everyone focused on the 2 main missiles, the Houthis had quietly launched another attack. These were the Al-Mandab II, an upgraded version of the Houthis standard anti-ship missile, the C-802. This new version had more range, about 300 kilometers, and smarter targeting tech. With support from Iran, these missiles were upgraded to use a semi-active radar system. In the early phase, They relied on radar from land to guide them. But in the final stretch, their own onboard sensors kicked in, locking onto the ship with pinpoint accuracy. With several of these missiles flying in fast, the United States ships could not just react quickly, they had to make the right call under pressure. In naval combat, the first instinct might be to launch defensive missiles immediately, but this is precisely what the enemy wants. Here is why. Each United States destroyer has a limited number of launch cells, 96 to be exact, and these cells must serve multiple critical functions. These launch cells are like a Swiss Army knife of naval weaponry. They house different types of missiles for various purposes. Tomahawk cruise missiles for long-range strikes, Sea Sparrow defense systems for close-in protection, anti-submarine rockets for underwater threats, and standard missiles for air defense. One can think of these launch cells like a limited supply. Every missile fired is a calculated choice. Use too many too soon, and one risks running low when another threat shows up. That is exactly what the enemy wants, to force the opponent into using up defenses early and leave them exposed later. It is a tricky balance. Commanders have to weigh each launch, deciding when it is worth taking the shot and when it is smarter to hold back. In naval combat, knowing when not to fire is just as important as pulling the trigger. At most, a destroyer carries around 50 air defense missiles that are ready to launch. That might have been fine back when missile threats were rare, but since 2023, U.S. Navy ships have faced more than 170 missile attacks. And that old number just doesn't cut it anymore. What makes it tougher is that those missile tubes can't be reloaded at sea. Once they are empty, that is it. That is why the captains of the USS Stout, Jason Dunham, and the Sullivans had to stay sharp. They couldn't afford to waste a single missile. Cooperative Engagement Capability, or CEC, is a system that lets Navy ships share radar info in real time. To break it down, this is like being on a dark football field at night. Only one person has a flashlight. But if they spot something, everyone else knows exactly where to look. That is what CEC does with radar. If one ship spots a missile, it can send that info to another ship, even if that second ship can't see it directly. And that second ship can still fire and intercept the threat. This kind of data sharing turns separate ships into a coordinated defense network. Here is a real-world example. Think about how a modern power grid works. Substations across different areas are all linked up, sharing threat data as it happens. So if one station picks up on something unusual, like a sudden voltage spike or signs of a cyber attack, it doesn't just keep that info to itself. It instantly sends an alert to every connected station. Let's say a transformer station in one county picks up some strange activity, maybe unstable voltage, or someone trying to breach the system. Instead of working alone, it pushes that data out to nearby stations. Those stations can then adjust how they are operating, isolate the issue, and take action as a group, even if they haven't seen the threat firsthand. This kind of setup turns individual stations from working solo into part of a connected defense network. Just like how Navy ships share radar data, power grid substations can link up and build a full picture of what's going on. When they communicate and react as a group, they are way more effective than acting alone. It is the same concept. When everyone shares what they see, the whole team gets stronger. Whether it is defending a fleet at sea or keeping a city's power running, having that shared view is what makes the difference. The Houthis launched their first wave of missiles in tight groups known as salvos. That actually made them easier to track and target. The United States ships followed a shoot, shoot, look, shoot approach. Fire 2 missiles, check if the threat is neutralized, and fire again if it is still coming. Each destroyer focused on a different group of incoming missiles so that no single ship used too many of its limited weapons. In this case, they used the Standard Missile 2. It does not have the range of the newer Standard Missile 6, but it is reliable and works well against older cruise missiles like the ones used in this attack. Think of it like a soccer team facing multiple incoming shots. Instead of relying on one goalkeeper to stop everything, the whole team works together. Each defender covers a specific area and takes on the threats closest to them. One might jump to stop a ball heading left, while another shifts to cover the right. They communicate fast, figure out which shots are the biggest problem, and move based on that. And if the first block does not work, someone else is already in place to finish the job. This kind of setup keeps any one player from getting overwhelmed and helps the team manage its defense smarter. Just like Navy ships coordinating during a missile attack, the soccer team turns individual efforts into a single unified defense. Everyone has a job, but they move as one to protect the goal. As the Standard Missile-2 launches, it moves at more than 3.5 times the speed of sound to meet the incoming threats. To stay locked on target, it uses a system called the Mark 99 Illuminator. These are high-powered radar beams that work like laser pointers, constantly aiming at the threat. Every few milliseconds, the radar signal reflects back, updating the missile's guidance, so it can stay on track until it either hits or destroys the target. As the missile nears its target, its internal seeker kicks in. It works a lot like the system the Houthis use, but it's quicker and more accurate. Once a hit is confirmed, the radar system immediately scans the skies again, checking for leftover debris or anything still moving that could pose a threat. If something looks suspicious, it gets tracked and targeted all over again. This cycle of spotting, firing, and reassessing runs nonstop. That's how the strike group keeps pace with rapid-fire missile attacks. One by one, the Standard Missile-2s intercepted most of the incoming missiles, leaving only a few still in the air. By then, the USS Stout was nearing the coast and running low on its top-tier interceptors. Now think about a high-pressure cybersecurity breach at a major financial institution. A complex hacking attempt hits the system from several directions at once. Just like a naval radar sorting out missile threats, the bank's digital defenses have to figure out which attacks matter most and fast. Every second counts, and the wrong decision could cost millions. Some threats hit customer databases. Others go after payment systems or try to break into internal networks. The security team has to figure out which ones to shut down first. They use specialized tools to gauge how fast each attack is moving, how much damage it could do, and whether it puts key systems at risk right now. Sometimes the right move is to deploy an advanced, high-cost security tool to stop a serious breach. It might run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that is still way less than the losses that could follow if core financial systems were hit. Just like Navy crews are willing to fire million-dollar missiles to save a ship, cybersecurity teams spend upfront on prevention because one missed threat could cost millions. The idea is the same across the board. High-stakes defense systems work by making fast, smart decisions based on which threats pose the most danger. Whether it's a warship in combat or a bank fighting off a cyber attack, reacting quickly and strategically is what stops things from going south. With only a few missiles left, the captain held back and went with a close-range defense system instead, the Close-In Weapon System, often called CWIS. It's a massive 6-barrel gun that fires 20mm rounds at an incredible rate of 4,500 shots per minute. When missiles get too close for comfort, this is the last line of defense. That is the equivalent of unloading an entire truck's worth of bullets in less than 5 seconds. The system runs on its own radar, tracks threats automatically, and reacts faster than any person ever could. As the last wave of missiles closed in, the Close-In Weapon System opened fire and shredded them mid-air. But there's a limit. The system only holds 300 rounds in its internal drum, which means after about 4.5 seconds, it is out. Once that happened, the crew turned to their final backup, the Mark 36 countermeasure launchers. These systems fire a cloud of hot metal into the air, millions of tiny aluminum strands that form a decoy over 10,000 square meters wide. The idea is simple. Jam the missile's radar and make it think it's chasing a real target, when it's actually locked onto nothing. Once the clouds were in the air, the wind pushed them away from the ship, drawing the last missiles off course. The enemy weapons flew straight into the aluminum cloud and dropped harmlessly into the sea. After hours of non-stop action, the radar screens finally went quiet. For the Truman strike group, it was a moment to catch their breath. But inland, far from the water, plans for the next attack were already in motion. This fight is not over, it is just getting started. Amid a storm of missiles, Israel quietly unleashed a weapon no one saw coming. A drone so stealthy it slipped through Iranian defenses and struck with deadly precision. Armed with cutting-edge sensors and guided munitions, it mapped targets, gathered intel, and hit deep inside enemy territory. Its surprise debut shifted the balance of power mid-war, giving Israel unmatched reach and accuracy. But what exactly makes this drone so deadly, and how did it reshape the battlefield? Join us as we uncover the incredible powers of Israel's brand new drone, unseen and unmatched until now. The 12-day war began with a clear objective: to neutralize Iran's nuclear and missile threat. But within days, it evolved into a remarkable demonstration of Israel's technological dominance. During the war and in the days that followed, Israel quietly pulled off several groundbreaking technological advances, especially in the use of drones and in the robotic production of air defense interceptor missiles. These major developments were revealed by Israel's Defense Ministry on Tuesday, shedding light on how the country is restructuring the future of warfare. One of the most surprising revelations, though, was Israel's long-range drone operations. According to the ministry, Israeli drones logged thousands of flight hours over Iranian territory, even though Iran lies between 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers away, depending on the region. The drone flight hours linked to the conflict were 6 times higher than Israel's usual total for an entire year. For years, the Israeli Air Force has effectively used drones to monitor nearby areas like Gaza and Lebanon. These regions lie directly along Israel's borders, making it easy for drones to travel back and forth from launch bases within the country. But flying drones over Iran was a completely different challenge. Until now, sending drones that far into hostile airspace was considered nearly impossible. Most of Israel's drones are not designed to cover such long distances on their own. For example, the Kachav and Shovel drone models each have a range of around 1,000 kilometers. This means they are not capable of flying directly to Iran and returning to base without help. However, recent developments in strategic planning made these long-distance missions possible. One potential solution involved mid-air refueling. While the details remain classified, it's believed that some drones were able to extend their range during flight. The presence of United States naval vessels in the region could have provided launch or support platforms. It's also possible that Israeli naval forces were deployed to help facilitate these deep strike operations. These partnerships and tactics may have allowed Israeli drones to complete missions that were once thought beyond reach. The ability to conduct surveillance and potential strikes from such a distance without risking pilots has opened up new strategic options. These drones may have been used for gathering intelligence, monitoring enemy movement, and even jamming enemy systems. Some drones were also likely equipped with weapons, allowing them to carry out precision strikes while remaining hard to detect. This extended reach, powered by satellite navigation and advanced software, now gives Israel a strong advantage in observing and reacting to threats far beyond its borders. The impact of these drone missions was massive. According to the ministry, drones were involved in approximately 500 separate attacks on targets inside Iran. That number represents about 50% of all aerial attacks carried out during the conflict. This shows just how important drones have become, not only for intelligence gathering, but also for direct precision strikes on enemy assets. These drone operations also played a major role in neutralizing Iranian missile bases, air defense systems, and command centers, often without risking human pilots. The ministry emphasized that this success was not by chance. It came after years of investment in drone development, navigation systems, long-range planning, and international cooperation. Alongside the drone achievements, the ministry also highlighted its key role in developing Israel's advanced, multi-layered missile defense network. This system includes the Iron Dome for short-range threats, David's Sling for medium-range interceptions, and Arrow 3 for high-altitude missile defense. All these layers work together during the Iran conflict to protect Israeli skies from waves of ballistic missiles and drones. Together, the combination of long-range drone warfare and missile defense has given Israel a powerful edge. The war with Iran pushed the military to stretch its capabilities further than ever before, and it succeeded. What seemed impossible just a few years ago is now a proven reality. And as new technologies continue to emerge, Israel's defense forces appear more prepared than ever for the challenges ahead. One of the biggest concerns during and after the Iran war has been whether Israel could keep up with the demand for interceptor missiles, especially the advanced Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 systems used to defend against ballistic missiles launched by Iran, the Houthis, and other hostile forces. These long-range missiles are extremely dangerous and require highly advanced technology to intercept, making the availability of interceptors a critical issue. For weeks, many wondered whether Israel was running low on these crucial defense tools. But according to senior officials at the Defense Ministry, Israel never reached what they call a red line, a point at which the country would not have enough interceptors to protect itself. Despite the heavy usage during the conflict, the ministry insisted that there was still some breathing room in Israel's stockpile. Ministry sources explain that while Israel still has enough Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 interceptors to handle current threats, the rapid use of resources and the ongoing waves of Iranian drones and ballistic missiles have made it urgent to expand the inventory, prompting the defense industry to introduce robotic automation for the first time to speed up production of interceptors for the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow 3 systems. The use of automation has several key benefits. First, it significantly speeds up production, allowing Israel to replace spent missiles much faster than before. Second, robots reduce the chance of human error, which is especially important when dealing with complex defense systems. Third, by lowering labor costs, automation could make it possible for Israel to buy more interceptors in the future than it ever has in the past. Thanks to these robotic systems, missile production times were drastically reduced. The robots could work around the clock, producing high-quality parts with speed and precision. This ensured that Israel's air defense forces never ran short of critical interceptors, even during days of non-stop missile attacks. Defense officials revealed that without this automation, the supply chain might have struggled to keep pace. Now, with this system in place, Israel is better prepared for future conflicts where fast, large-scale production of missile defense components could be a matter of survival. The Defense Ministry added that these advancements are just the beginning. New designs, upgrades, and further automation are already in development, all based on lessons learned during the Iran conflict. In just a short time, war has forced innovation, and Israel now has a faster, smarter, and more flexible defense system ready for whatever comes next. Defense experts warn that adapting quickly is not just wise, it's essential. The threat of ballistic missiles now extends beyond Iran, with groups like the Houthi rebels in Yemen proving their ability to launch long-range strikes. With multiple fronts emerging, Israel must ensure it has a large, ready supply of interceptors to defend its skies. Against this growing backdrop of regional threats, Israel's drone capabilities have taken a major leap. Building on that momentum, Flying Production, a division of Elbit Systems, has now started full-scale production of the advanced X-Intra combat drone. Designed to boost frontline missions, the X-Intra expands on the proven performance of smaller drones like the Zur, which the IDF has already deployed in operations across Gaza and near the Lebanese border. What sets the X-Intra apart is its impressive payload capacity. It can carry around 30 kilograms, which is more than twice the load that the Zur drone can handle. Despite this heavy lifting ability, the X-Intra is cleverly designed to remain modular and compact. It can be folded down small enough to fit in a padded bag, allowing just one soldier to carry it easily. The drone's developers say it can be unpacked, assembled, and ready for action in less than 2 minutes, making it incredibly quick to deploy in urgent situations. The X-Intra is described as a multi-mission platform, meaning it can perform a wide range of important tasks. It can deliver vital supplies directly to troops on the ground, such as medical kits or ammunition, which can be critical during intense fighting. In addition to transport duties, the drone is equipped with advanced imaging systems that allow it to carry out high-altitude surveillance, monitoring enemy movements, spotting threats, and gathering crucial intelligence from afar. Beyond reconnaissance and supply delivery, the X-Intra can also carry out precision strikes, using guided weapons to target enemy positions accurately while minimizing collateral damage. This flexibility allows commanders to use the drone for different types of missions, depending on the needs of the moment. Additionally, these drones provide faster, safer, and often cheaper ways to support soldiers, gather information, and carry out attacks compared to traditional methods. Moreover, the ability for a single soldier to carry and quickly deploy such a capable drone adds a new level of agility and power to infantry units. Flying Production became part of Elbit Systems in 2019 as a key step in the company's plan to grow its presence in drone technology. a sector that is rapidly expanding within the defense industry. Located in the Rosh Hashanah Industrial Zone, flying production has amassed more than 20,000 operational flight hours with its range of drones. Although the company has supplied drones to several foreign militaries, it has not publicly named which countries are its customers. Eyal Dahan, the company's CEO, explained that lessons learned from battlefield use of earlier drone models, like the Magni X and Terminator, motivated the company to equip its newer drones with advanced electro-optical payloads. These payloads, which are used for surveillance and targeting, can be quite costly, with some systems priced as high as $500,000. In response to practical needs discovered during the ongoing conflict in Gaza, where fighting often takes place in densely populated areas, the Israeli Defense Forces recently completed successful trials using the Tsur drone to deliver blood units. These blood supplies are carried in shock-absorbing containers to protect them during flight, enabling medics on the ground to receive critical supplies within minutes. This rapid delivery can make a real difference in providing first aid and saving lives during emergencies. Recognizing their growing importance, Israel has moved quickly to expand its drone fleet. Since the war began on October 7th, demand for drones has surged dramatically. Over recent months, Israel's Ministry of Defense has placed orders worth more than 400 million shekels, approximately $106 million with domestic defense companies for drones of different sizes and capabilities. Of this total, about 150 million shekels was awarded to Elbit Systems alone. Other companies that received contracts from Israel's Ministry of Defense include Extend, Copterpix, and Aerodrome. The Defense Ministry is planning to issue more tenders soon to speed up drone purchases and fill equipment shortages. These shortages became clear when both regular and reserve units of the Israel Defense Forces reported missing gear at the start of the war. Some soldiers even turned to social media to ask for supplies directly. This rapid pace of innovation is already paying off on the battlefield. Nowhere is this more evident than in Israel's air defense systems, which played a central role during the Iran war. According to the Israel Defense Forces, during the height of the conflict, nearly 1,000 drones were launched by Iran toward Israeli territory. Yet in what defense officials are calling an extraordinary success, about 99% of those drones were shot down before reaching their targets. Only 2 managed to strike anything on the ground, and thankfully, no Israeli lives were lost. This impressive level of performance highlights how far Israel's air defense capabilities have come. It also shows the importance of heavy investment in advanced defense technologies. Experts estimate that the country's missile defense systems saved Israel from suffering damage worth between 50 and 70 billion shekels. In contrast, the actual physical damage from the conflict came to around 10 billion shekels. This major difference underlines how much destruction was prevented, both in lives and infrastructure. Much of this success comes not just from Israel's own innovations, but also from international cooperation. Over recent years, Israel has worked closely with the United States, Germany, and several other allies to improve its defensive strategies and technologies. These partnerships have helped Israel learn new ways to use and adapt its missile defense systems for modern threats, knowledge that proved crucial in the face of Iran's large-scale drone and missile attacks. This cooperation also plays a key role in what defense analysts are calling a new technological race between Israel and Iran. After this conflict, both nations are expected to make rapid advancements in their offensive and defensive capabilities. Israel, in particular, is using the lessons from this war to guide its next steps in missile defense development. These steps will likely include upgrades to current systems and the creation of new ones, tailored to the emerging threats in the region. Another important aspect of Israel's defense success is its growing reliance on homegrown innovation. Over the past few years, Israel has invested in a wide range of startups that focus on niche defense solutions, everything from advanced sensors to AI-guided tracking systems. During the war with Iran, many of these startup technologies were already in use, integrated into different layers of Israel's air defense. This fast track from development to deployment reflects the agility of Israel's defense ecosystem. These startups, often supported through government programs and military partnerships, are now being credited with helping to detect and stop incoming threats more efficiently. Their involvement shows how defense is no longer limited to large weapons manufacturers, Small, specialized tech companies are now essential players on the battlefield. Building on these technological advances, on Tuesday, Israel's Defense Ministry released new video footage and detailed findings from Operation Rising Lion. The report highlighted Israel's impressive progress during the recent war with Iran, revealing how the country nearly stopped all Iranian drones and used over 12,000 satellite images to guide deep strikes inside Iran. The ministry explained that Israel's multi-layered air defense system, made up of the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow systems, blocked most threats during the conflict. Officials said these defenses prevented about 50 billion shekels, or roughly $13.5 billion, in possible damage. Some of the missile systems used had been developed over the past 20 years or more, including special weapons designed specifically to target Iran's nuclear sites and ballistic missile assets. Brigadier General Dr. Danny Gold from the Directorate of Defense Research and Development, known as MAFAT, led the briefing. He revealed that the findings show Israel's clear edge in technology and operations. According to him, technologies that were created over 25 years ago, and some that were completed only weeks before the war, were used on the battlefield with great success. Israel had totally succeeded in defense, offense, weakening Iran within its own territory, and protecting the homeland by combining cyber tools, space technology, digital warfare, and other advanced systems into a powerful force. The Missile Defense Organization reported that 86% of ballistic missiles launched by Iran were shot down, helped by recently upgraded Arrow missile systems installed just a week before the fighting began. The ministry noted that the damage prevented was 7 times higher than the damage actually suffered. Meanwhile, more than 99% of Iranian drones were intercepted, thanks to a breakthrough Iron Dome test against drone swarms conducted in March. This war also marked a historic first. Israeli drones operated non-stop in the so-called Third Ring, which means deep inside Iranian territory. They carried out more than 500 precise strikes and logged thousands of flight hours over Iran. These unmanned aerial vehicles lowered risks to manned jets, hunted missile launchers, saved many lives, and reduced damage to Israel, the ministry said. Combined with Operation Iron Swords, drones made up 60% of Israeli Air Force flight hours and were responsible for half of all targeted eliminations. Israel's satellite network also played a crucial role. The Space Directorate said satellites took more than 12,000 high-resolution pictures over Iran and provided safe, reliable military communications. We captured images covering tens of millions of square kilometers day and night, helping to find targets quickly without putting troops in danger, the Directorate explained. At the onset of the Iran war and throughout Israel's effort to secure control of Tehran's skies, defense officials revealed that the Israeli military relied on a range of domestically developed standoff weapons and precision-guided munitions. These systems, the result of years of research by MAFAT in Israel's defense industry, allowed Israel to strike targets accurately from a distance, even as Iran tried to jam or disrupt those attacks electronically. The Defense Ministry noted that one of Israel's key advantages was its ability to maintain precision under heavy electronic interference. This was made possible by advanced targeting systems and self-defense technologies developed in-house. Fighter jets operating deep over Iranian territory were reportedly fitted with these systems, enabling them to dodge enemy missile threats while executing their missions with high accuracy. Moshe Fattah, the head of Israel's Missile Defense Organization, emphasized that one of the war's most significant achievements was the seamless integration of Israel's various defense systems. He also pointed out the vital role played by close cooperation with U.S. defense platforms, which added to Israel's strategic edge. Looking ahead, Fatal said that Israel is already preparing for future confrontations. The country is upgrading its current systems, accelerating production, and developing new technologies to stay ahead of growing threats in the region. He also hinted that Israel is keeping several defense innovations under wraps, ready to surprise any adversary who underestimates the nation's readiness and reach. The ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel has taken a deadly turn as Iran just shocked the world with something extremely destructive and almost unstoppable. This country, located in the heart of Asia, just revealed a newly developed deadly weapon that has sent several nations into a state of uncontrolled shock because even the United States, an equally advanced nation in terms of its military arsenal, cannot defend itself against it. What is Iran's newly developed weapon? Why is it termed unstoppable even by the United States? Join us as we unveil Iran's $2 billion hypersonic missile that is ready to destroy the United States in 40 seconds. For a while now, several technologically advanced nations, including the United States and China, have been fully invested in the development of hypersonic missiles due to its capabilities and the potential. Influence has to shape the world of modern warfare. Why is this weapon sought after, and what makes it very special? Let us get into it. These hypersonic missiles can travel extremely fast, more than a mile per second, which is at least 5 times the speed of sound. That aside, it is believed that they can avoid detection until just seconds before hitting their targets, leaving little time for defense. These missiles can destroy targets using their speed and energy without explosives. This makes traditional strategies for responding to attacks less effective because hypersonic missiles can strike before a country can react. Despite similarities with ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles pose unique challenges unlike the ballistic, especially for countries without missile defenses. However, many countries are developing these defenses, which could be overwhelmed by hypersonic technology. While it is believed that the United States, Russia, China, France, and India are leading the development of hypersonic missiles, and that it's likely that within 10 years hypersonic missiles will be deployed and may even be available for purchase internationally, Iran just announced something shocking, something even the United States was not expecting. The Iranian IRNA news agency announced that Iran has developed a new hypersonic missile. This missile, created domestically by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was revealed on Tuesday morning, June 6, 2023, in the presence of President Ibrahim Raisi. They specified that the successful test of the missile took place on May 29th. As a result, despite being under Western sanctions for 44 years, Iran has successfully developed a weapon that only Russia and China possess. In the U.S., after failed tests of the AGM-183 ARRW missile on March 13th, it was stated that hypersonic missiles won't be ready until 2027. The AGM-183 ARRW, or Air-Launched Rapid Response Weapon, is a fast air-to-ground missile designed for the U.S. Air Force. Created by Lockheed Martin, this missile reaches speeds over Mach 5 using a rocket engine before gliding towards its target. The program was initially canceled in March 2023 due to failed tests as war, but later resumed development after additional testing. Unlike other cases, Iran has developed a missile that can travel up to 1,400 kilometers at speeds of 12 to 13 times the speed of sound. This missile can move through the atmosphere and space and can evade all anti-missile defense systems. It's even faster than Russia's well-known Dagger missile, although it doesn't reach as far. The Russian Dagger has a range of 2,000 kilometers and requires a MiG-31 fighter plane to launch, unlike the Iranian missile, which is ground-launched. The Fattah missile has advanced features like a solid propellant engine and a controlled thrust system. It can change direction mid-flight with aerodynamic rudders and is made of carbon fibers that absorb radar waves and reduce heat emissions, making it harder to detect. Given the impact of 44 years of sanctions on Iran, it's unlikely they developed this weapon independently. They likely received assistance, possibly from Russia, and China's involvement is suspected due to U.S. sanctions on Chinese entities after news of the Fattah missile's development. The power of hypersonic speed was demonstrated in Russia's conflict with Ukraine. Russian Kinzhal missiles successfully hit protected targets, including a former Soviet nuclear warhead storage facility in the Carpathian Mountains. They also damaged the United States Patriot anti-missile system, although not all missiles hit the target, damaging several launchers. This shows that current Western missile defense systems struggle against hypersonic missiles, requiring a deep understanding to counter them effectively. The Iranian hypersonic missile can reach up to 1,400 kilometers, putting countries like Saudi Arabia, Israel, Turkmenistan, and Georgia within range. Despite this range, Iran doesn't seem to have hostile intentions toward these countries, especially after recent reconciliation with Saudi Arabia. The active support from Russia and China suggests that Iran's focus with these new missiles is likely aimed at Israel, which has robust missile defense systems. Iranian state media reported on Friday that the country had activated its air defense systems over the central city of Isfahan to bring down 3 aerial objects amid sounds of explosions. Flights were briefly suspended in many parts of the country before the alert was lifted. U.S. broadcasters, quoting senior American officials, reported that Israeli missiles had hit Isfahan. Iranian officials said they were still confirming the source of the apparent attack by drones, while Israel has not commented on the incident. After confirmation, Iran, on 13 April 2024, Iran launched more than 330 drones and missiles against Israel in what it said was in retaliation for an attack on its consulate in Syria. However, the Israeli Defense Forces say that 99% of the drones and missiles were intercepted and that minimal damage was inflicted. One Israeli civilian was severely injured. This leads us to discussing Israel's missile defense systems and its capabilities. Israel's missile defense includes the powerful Iron Dome for shorter-range threats and more advanced systems like the HES complex with Arrow 3 missiles, which is up to 1,250 kilometers range, Arrow 2 missiles, which is up to 100 kilometers range, and David's Sling, also known as the Magic Wand, with Stunner missiles that is about 70 to 300 kilometers range. Israel might have been able to shoot down Iran's drones and regular missiles with its defense system, but they may not be enough to counter the new Iranian threat because the Iranian missiles are hypersonic and can maneuver, making them hard to intercept because of their unpredictable movement. As of now, Israel is totally helpless and does not have an effective defense against these new Iranian weapons. This is definitely a new and positive development for Iran, because this country has been trying for a long time to develop nuclear weapons. But aside from the sanctions placed on Iran, Israel has also been actively preventing them, knowing who the weapons would likely be used against. In 1981, Israeli F-16s destroyed Iran's French-made Osirak nuclear reactor, an incident that delayed Iran's nuclear program for many years. However, Iran has since strengthened its air defenses with Russian S-300 PMU-2. This defense system, also known as SA-10 Grumble by NATO, is a group of long-range surface-to-air missile systems created by the former Soviet Union. It was designed by NPO Almaz for the Soviet Air Defense Forces to protect against air raids and cruise missiles. The S-300 remains one of the most powerful anti-aircraft missile systems in active use today. This system is utilized by Russia, Ukraine, and other former Eastern Bloc nations, as well as Bulgaria, Greece, China, Iran, and several countries in Asia. In addition to being the most powerful defense system in the world, it is fully automated but can also be operated manually. Each targeting radar works by providing important information about targets to the central command post. The command post analyzes the data from the radars, filtering out false targets. Also, it has active and passive target detection modes. The missiles can be launched up to 40 kilometers, which is about 25 miles from the command post. That aside, Iran has also developed its own systems like Bavar 373, Talash, and Mersad-16. Additionally, Russia has supplied Iran with Su-35 fighters, making it harder to target Iran's nuclear facilities. All this technology has made Iran a formidable force. If Israel thinks Iran is close to making a nuclear bomb, they might decide to attack, but that move would be an extremely dangerous one. Israel could face retaliation with the powerful and destructive hypersonic missiles that can break through their defenses. After that, Iran could launch regular missiles like the Fattah 1 with up to 500 kilometers range, Zolfaghar, which has a range that is up to 700 kilometers, Cham-1 with a range of 1,000 kilometers, and Khorramshahr 4 with a range of up to 2,000 kilometers range with big warheads. According to Iranian commander Amir Ali Hajizadeh, one of these missiles can hit up to 80 targets simultaneously. These missiles were tested around the same time as the Fattah hypersonic missile on May 29 and the Khorramshahr 4 on May 25. In simpler terms, the possibility of Iran getting a nuclear bomb is becoming more real. If they succeed, it will change things a lot in the Middle East. Israel might focus more on its own security than on supporting United States policies, which could mean it plays a smaller role as a U.S. ally in the region. Already, Israel's choice not to give weapons to Ukraine is because they're worried about upsetting Russia, which could help Iran even more. Saudi Arabia might also get closer to China and Russia, supporting Iran's interests, which could reduce United States' influence in the Middle East. Overall, this creates challenges for the West and global stability. Iran's development of hypersonic and potentially nuclear weapons is seen as a significant step towards defending itself in case of World War III. However, some experts are unsure about the capabilities of Iran's Fattah missile. Israeli military expert David Sharp questions whether it can reach speeds of 13 to 15 times the speed of sound. The Fattah missile has a typical warhead that can adjust its path, but it's not the cutting-edge technology that the US and Russia are developing. Some experts doubt whether Iran has fully finished its hypersonic missile beyond a successful test, as making and deploying these weapons involve complex processes that go beyond a single test. All this talk about hypersonic missiles and their capability has led to a very simple but complex question to answer. Is there no way to avoid a world with widespread hypersonic forces? Analysts have doubted the claimed abilities of hypersonic weapons, and recent studies continue to cast doubt on these assertions. This raises questions about why the United States government is still investing billions of dollars in their development and deployment, diverting funds from other urgent national priorities. Over the past few years, research and development on hypersonic weapons has cost several billion dollars annually, accounting for around 3% of all U.S. defense research and development spending. In total, the United States has already spent over $10 billion on the development of hypersonic weapons, and this figure is expected to increase further as these programs continue. However, after several studies of these expensive weapons, they have been found to be easily detectable and engaged, which is a direct opposite to what is believed of hypersonic weapons. This simply means that hypersonic weapons are also not as stealthy as advocates frequently claim. To reach their high speeds, they must be launched on large rocket boosters, whose bright exhaust plumes can be seen by currently deployed early warning satellites. These satellites would be able to detect a possible hypersonic launch and determine the initial direction of the weapon's flight, which would give a good indication of its target. Even after launch, these weapons could remain visible. The intense heating of a hypersonic vehicle traveling faster than about Mach 6 to 10 produces a very bright infrared signal during its glide phase that can also be seen by currently deployed early warning satellites mounted with infrared detectors. This means that even if a hypersonic weapon at such high speeds would change course after launch, existing satellites should be able to detect where it is going and trigger a response to the attack. Even though low-altitude flight may reduce the range at which hypersonic weapons could be detected by ground-based radars to hundreds of kilometers, that range would still be long enough for them to be tracked and engaged by terminal missile defense systems. This is significant because it suggests that hypersonic weapons can potentially be intercepted by terminal missile defense systems, which are designed to safeguard valuable assets like air defenses or ships. The significant drag experienced by hypersonic weapons during low-altitude flight slows them down, making them more susceptible to interception by these defenses. As a result, ships and other assets may be less vulnerable to hypersonic weapons than officials often assert. Hypersonic weapons can alter their flight paths by maneuvering during their glide phase, using aerodynamic forces. However, the degree of this maneuvering is often overstated and carries significant drawbacks, which are not often mentioned. Many descriptions of the movement of an hypersonic missile have likened the way it maneuvers to that of a speedboat, weaving around obstacles. Yet, at hypersonic speeds, changing a missile's direction requires immense forces, which in turn increase drag and decrease speed and range. As a result, hypersonic missiles can only perform limited maneuvers while still maintaining practical effectiveness over useful distances. Adding an engine to power a weapon during the initial part of its low-altitude flight could help reduce speed and range losses caused by maneuvering. However, these engines, known as scramjets, are still in early development and are quite complex to operate. As a result, they may be less reliable and more costly compared to boost-glide hypersonic weapons, which achieve high speeds at launch and then glide unpowered for most of their flight. Hypersonic weapons are often praised for their accuracy, but the guidance and targeting systems used for these weapons are similar to those developed for maneuvering missile warheads, known as maneuverable re-entry vehicles during the Cold War. MARVs fly at higher altitudes, avoiding the heating issues faced by hypersonic weapons during low-altitude flight. They can also be lighter and require smaller rockets for launch. A recent analysis by the Congressional Budget Office compared hypersonic weapons to MARVs on ballistic missiles and found that both could offer the desired combination of speed, accuracy, range, and survivability. However, hypersonic weapons may cost 1/3 more to develop and deploy than ballistic missiles with maneuverable warheads. Detailed analysis suggests that MARVs launched on ballistic missiles perform better than hypersonic weapons in many flight scenarios and may be developed more quickly and reliably. It raises questions about whether the U.S. Congress and Pentagon leadership fully understand the capabilities and drawbacks of hypersonic weapons, or if they have been swayed by exaggerated claims. Similarly, decision-makers in Russia and China may also be captivated by hypersonic weapon claims without fully grasping the complexities involved. Ironically, both countries have accelerated their own hypersonic development, partly due to U.S. interest in new long-range missile capabilities following the 9/11 attacks. While the United States can develop functional hypersonic weapons, the key question is whether these weapons are strategically sensible and justify the investment of taxpayer money, regardless of what other countries are doing. Exaggerated claims about hypersonic weapons have led to significant spending on various hypersonic weapon systems, fueling an arms race that may escalate tensions and military expenditures without enhancing national or global security. It has been suggested that the Congress should scrutinize the rush to develop hypersonic weapons more closely to ensure sound decision-making and responsible use of resources. Despite these critical thoughts concerning the development of hypersonic missiles and whether or not they are worth the hype or even a great addition to the military sector, the United States had developed one of its own. Introduced to the public in fiscal year 2022, the missile is a high-speed air-launched weapon powered by scramjet technology, but many of its details are still not fully disclosed. It's smaller than the air-launched rapid response weapon and is estimated to have a range of about 300 miles, according to a report by the Congressional Budget Office. The Air Force plans to start testing the hypersonic attack cruise missile by fiscal year 2027, focusing first on integrating it with the F-15E jet fighter for rapid deployment. The success of the program depends on sufficient funding, with the Air Force seeking $317 million in fiscal year 2023, up from the $200 million that was requested in 2022, as reported by the CRS. This program aims to achieve a long-range, quick-strike capability, building on technology developed through DARPA's Hypersonic Air-Breathing Weapon Concept Program. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, along with the Air Force, is involved in various hypersonic research projects. These include the Tactical Boost Glide, a hypersonic vehicle designed for tactical use, and the Operational Fires Program, which aims to develop ground launch systems for engaging time-sensitive targets. Nigel Francis, Chief Executive Officer of a National Manufacturing Innovation Institute, believes the United States has the capability to lead in technology. He also emphasized the importance of a collaborative effort involving government, industry, and academia to succeed in the hypersonics race. Despite challenges in the industry, such as supply chain redundancy and scaling up specialized technologies, Francis remains optimistic about the United States' position and capabilities in hypersonics development. He emphasizes the importance of retaining skilled personnel and leveraging small to mid-sized companies in the U.S. to support Defense Department efforts. The success of the United States programs and its position in the hypersonics race will unfold over the next several years through testing and fielding. Representative Seth Moulton has equally laid emphasis on the importance of not just keeping pace with adversaries like China and Russia, but also prioritizing the effective use of these advanced technologies in defense strategies. Iran is not a country to be underestimated. This Mid-Eastern country has surprised the world with its advanced technology, spanning from a wide range of powerful ballistic missiles to advanced drones and even lethal bombers. However, Iran not only has a formidable military arsenal, but also many trained soldiers. This country is ready to take on modern threats without resistance. What's the history of Iran's military? How advanced is Iran's military system? Join us as we explore the depths of Iran's forces as it shocked the world with 11 million soldiers. The geopolitical tension and recent military confrontation between Iran and Israel has led to a total unrest not only in neighboring countries, but also worldwide. This conflict has increased worldwide curiosity concerning Iran's military might and the strength of its armed forces. While the tension between these two regions has existed for ages, most people have no idea what instigated this fierce conflict. According to reports, this conflict started in early April, when Israel attacked a building in Iran's diplomatic compound in the Syrian capital, Damascus. This attack led to the death of 7 of Iran's senior commanders and military personnel. And just as you imagined, Iran did not take this attack so well, and this is not only because of the already damaged relationship between these two nations. As a response to the attack and the death of Iran's military personnel and senior commander, this country started a massive and equally lethal attack on Israel on April 13, 2024. This was not a warning strike, as the aim was to destroy, since it involved the deployment of hundreds of drones and missiles which were aimed at targets inside Israel and the territory that it controls. In a report, Israeli officials mentioned that they are fully prepared to respond to the attack with a counterattack. However, this move would not only prompt further retaliation from Iran's military forces, but would lead to mass destruction that might expand into a wider regional war. Some nations have discussed that there is a huge probability that a conflict of this sort would result in the involvement of the United States. However, Washington has openly stated and made it clear that it had no hand in the attack that occurred in Damascus. For over a decade now, analysts have observed that the United States and Israel, Iran's greatest enemies, have avoided direct military strikes on Iran because they wanted to avoid Tehran's complex military apparatus, which is renowned for being quite formidable. So, instead of engaging in direct conflict, these countries have been involved in a long shadow war in the air, sea, land, and cyber attacks. And Israel has covertly targeted military and nuclear facilities inside Iran and killed commanders and scientists. According to Afshan Ostovar, an associate professor of national security affairs at the Naval Postgraduate School and an expert on Iran's military, there is a reason why Iran has not been struck despite the deployment of several weapons of mass destruction upon Israel. This decision to delay a counterattack by Israel is not due to fear, but the realization that any war against Iran would lead to a very serious war, if not the Third World War. This realization has people questioning the country's military capabilities and how well it can defend itself if the United States and other technologically advanced nations decide to join in the conflict. In response to this renewed curiosity concerning Iran's military might, it is worth noting that the Iranian armed forces are among the largest in the Middle East, with at least 580,000 active duty personnel and about 200,000 trained reserve personnel divided among the traditional army and the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. This statistic is based on an annual assessment last year by the International Institute for Strategic Studies. The Army and the Guards each have separate and active ground, air, and naval forces, with the Guards responsible for Iran's border security. The Armed Forces General Staff coordinates the branches and sets the overall strategy. The Guards also operate the Quds Force, an elite unit in charge of arming, training, and supporting the network of proxy militias throughout the Middle East known as the Axis of Resistance. These militias include Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, militia groups in Syria and Iraq, and Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the commander-in-chief of Iran's armed forces, is the supreme leader who has the last word on all major decisions. While the proxy militias are not considered part of Iran's armed forces, analysts believe that they are considered as an allied regional force that is always prepared for battle, heavily armed, and ideologically loyal, and could come to Iran's aid if it was attacked. Fabian Hinz, an expert on Iran's military at the International Institute for Strategic Studies in Berlin, mentioned that Iran has given non-government groups like Hezbollah an extraordinary amount of support. This support includes advanced drones, ballistic missiles, and cruise missiles. These resources are significant parts of Iran's military strength, particularly because of Hezbollah's strong ties with Iran. Iran's military strategy has been based on deterrence for decades, emphasizing the development of precision and long-range missiles, drones, and air defenses. It has also built a large fleet of speedboats and small submarines capable of disrupting shipping traffic and global energy supplies that pass through the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. This country also has one of the largest arsenals of ballistic missiles and drones in the Middle East. That includes cruise and anti-ship missiles and ballistic missiles with a range of about 2,000 kilometers or even more than 1,200 miles. These missiles have the capacity and range to hit any target in the Middle East, including Israel. In the past few years, Tehran has gathered a lot of drones that can fly very far, around 1,200 to 1,500 miles. According to Iranian media, these drones are designed to fly low to avoid being detected by radar, which makes them penetrate the enemy's territory with ease. Iran did not plan to keep this technology a secret, as they have openly revealed their collection of drones and missiles during military parades. They also plan to sell several drones to other countries. Russia has reportedly used some of Iran's drones in Ukraine, and they've also been seen in the fighting in Sudan. Experts have laid emphasis on the fact that the country's bases and storage facilities are widely dispersed, buried deep underground, and fortified with air defenses, making them difficult to destroy with airstrikes. Despite the international sanctions that have prevented Iran from purchasing high-tech weaponry and military equipment manufactured abroad, such as tanks and fighter jets, this country still remains formidable. During its 8-year war with Iraq in the 1960s, few countries were more than willing to sell weapons to Iran. However, a year after the war ended, when Ayatollah Khamenei became Iran's supreme leader in 1989, he commissioned the Guards to develop a domestic weapons industry and invested into its development. The aim was to ensure that Iran would never again rely on foreign powers for its defense needs. According to experts, Iran has recently manufactured a large number of missiles and drones domestically and has also prioritized defense production. Its attempts to make armored vehicles and large naval vessels have met with mixed results. It also imports small submarines from North Korea while expanding and modernizing its domestically produced fleet. As a result of this dedication to improve its military sector, Iran's military is viewed as one of the strongest in the region regarding equipment, cohesion, experience, and personnel quality. But some experts believe that this country is quite far behind the power of the armed forces of the United States, Israel, and some European countries. Well, they just might be right, because Iran's greatest weakness is known to be its air force. Most of the country's aircraft are from the era of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who led Iran from 1941 to 1979, and many have been turned off for lack of spare parts. The country also bought a small fleet from Russia in the 1990s. Also, Iran's tanks and armored vehicles are old, and the country has only a few large naval vessels. American officials mentioned that 2 of Iran's intelligence-gathering vessels, the Saviz and Bashad, which were deployed on the Red Sea, have aided the Houthis in identifying Israeli-owned ships for attacks. This country started a major campaign to produce and stockpile chemical weapons after a truce was agreed with Iraq after the 1980 to 1988 Iran-Iraq War. However, Iran ratified the Chemical Weapons Convention in 1997. Iranian troops and civilians suffered tens of thousands of casualties from Iraqi chemical weapons during the 1980 to 1988 Iran-Iraq War. Even today, more than 24 years after the end of the Iran-Iraq War, about 30,000 Iranians are still suffering and dying from the effects of chemical weapons employed by Iraq during the war. The need to manage the treatment of such a large number of casualties has placed Iran's medical specialists at the forefront of the development of effective treatment regimens for chemical weapons victims, particularly for those suffering from exposure to mustard gas. Iran ratified the Biological Weapons Convention in 1973 and has advanced in biological and genetic engineering research programs, supporting an industry that produces vaccines for both domestic use and export. It has been reported that Iran is one of the 5 countries with a cyber army capable of conducting cyber warfare operations. Iran has also immensely increased its cyber warfare capability since the post-presidential election unrest. Furthermore, China has accused the United States of having initiated a cyber war against Iran through websites such as Twitter and YouTube, in addition to employing a hacker brigade for fomenting unrest in Iran. In the early 20th century, it was also reported that 2 new garrisons for cyber warfare had been established at Zanjan and Isfahan. Based on reports, Iran is seen as one of the top 15 military forces globally in 2024, which is the 14th position out of 145 countries in the global firepower ranking. This proves Iran's significant military strength on the world stage. The Islamic Republic of Iran is one of the most unique military powers in the Middle East and globally. Its defense budget of 2024 is estimated at $5.5 billion. Also, this country has service branches under the command of the Armed Forces General Staff, including the Army, the IRGC, and its police force. Here are some interesting things to know about their army. Iran possesses about 587,000 personnel, which includes F-14 Tomcats and F-4 Phantom jets made in the United States. It unveiled its fourth-generation fighter 3 years ago and has also developed ballistic missiles with a range of up to 1,000 kilometers. However, it is believed that they are defensive and not designed to carry nuclear warheads. The Iran's Navy has displaced its small submarines that are developed to shoot cruise missiles. These submarines are thought to have 9 crew members and weigh less than 150 tons. In 2011, Iran took control of an American drone and used its technology to make its own drone. Basij, a part of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, can give the Iranian military about 11 million soldiers, which is as many as the American, Russian, and Chinese armies combined. Therefore, when it comes to security, since the mid-1980s, Iran has turned to programs to develop weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. In the late 90s, it achieved success in the domestic production of medium-range and long-range missiles, ranging from 480 to 965 kilometers, and from 965 to 5,310 kilometers, respectively. After 21 months of service, the Army is the largest branch of the Iranian military, followed by the Revolutionary Guards. Organized in the early days of the Republic, this institution is the most effective military force in the country and is composed of the most reliable political and religious personnel. Any security forces involved in a foreign war or internal armed conflict accompanies or leads elements of the Revolutionary Guards. Iran has a small air force, navy, and city police force. Another group looks after rural areas, all managed by the Ministry of the Interior. Iran has a strong military industry, making many small weapons and vehicles like the BMP-2 and T-72. From 1925 until the Iranian Revolution in 1979, Iran was mostly equipped with Western hardware. Its main suppliers included the United States, Great Britain, France, West Germany, Italy, Israel, and the Soviet Union. So when it comes to the Air Force, its total strength is 509, with 142 fighters, 165 attacks, and 89 transport. On land, it has 4,634 battle tanks and 2,345 armored combat vehicles. It has 570 self-propelled guns, 2,001 28 towed guns, and 1,900 rocket projectors, 34 submarines, 88 patrol vessels, and 3 mine warfare vessels. Iran has thousands of dangerous war drones. Currently, Iran has updated all its military equipment. Iran also possesses a large and diverse collection of missiles, which includes thousands of ballistic and cruise missiles. These missiles can attack the most distant places, such as Israel and Southeast Europe. Since the last decade, Iran has invested significantly in improving the accuracy and lethality of its missiles. These developments have made Iran's missile forces a powerful tool for projecting its power and a credible threat to the U.S. military and its partners in the region. Iran is highly diversified in the missile field, with more than 3,000 ballistic missiles, including ground attack cruise missiles. The country has paid great attention to improving the accuracy and precision of its missiles and has also focused on the development of solid fuel missiles, which is expected to continue. Iran also has a wide diversity of UAVs, and over the decades, it has expanded its capabilities in developing, producing, and using various types of UAVs. The country has developed drones with different capabilities, including reconnaissance, surveillance, attack, and even suicide missions. It has various drones in its possession. Some of the most formidable are Arash with a flight range of 2,000 kilometers and a flight time of up to 8.5 hours, photos with a range between 172,000 kilometers and a flight time of up to 30 hours. Mohajer 6 with a maximum range of 200 kilometers and a flight time of up to 12 hours. Shade 12-9 flight range between 17 and 2,000 kilometers. Common 22 with a flight range of up to 3,000 kilometers and a flight time of up to 24 hours. Iran also has advanced capabilities in suicide drones and spy equipment and is working to increase the range accuracy and payload capabilities of its drones. Iranian drones have been used in various missions throughout the Middle East region and have sometimes been used as a tool to increase Iran's influence in the region and support its proxy groups. It makes use of several types of tanks in its military, including the Zulfikar, T-72s, T-62, T-55, T-59, M-47, M-48, M-61, and the Qarar, which is still in production. This diversity reflects the mix of domestic and foreign tanks Iran has relied on to bolster its military capabilities. However, Israel also has a commendable military arsenal as well. According to the International Institute for Strategic Studies, in 2023, Israel had 169,400 active soldiers in the Army, Navy, and paramilitary. Additionally, they had 465,000 reserve soldiers and 8,000 paramilitary members. According to a military spokesperson, about 300,000 Israeli soldiers are currently close to the Gaza Strip, raising concerns about a potential ground operation. In Israel, anyone 18 or older is expected to join the military. Men usually serve for 32 months and women serve for 24 months. Israel has something called the Iron Dome system. It's like a moving shield that protects against short-range rockets. It uses radar to find and destroy these rockets before they hit their target. They started making it in 26 after a big fight with Hezbollah, where lots of rockets were shot into Israel. After being operational in 2011, the Iron Dome was created with the help of the U.S., which is responsible for supplying parts for the system, including setting aside more than $1.5 billion in missile defense for Israel in 2022. Israel is also believed to hold nuclear capabilities, according to the IESS, which states that the country possesses Jericho missiles and aircraft capable of carrying nuclear warheads. In 2022, Israel spent $23.4 billion on its military, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, a research institute focused on conflict and armaments. This amounts to $2,000 per capita over the 2018 to 2022 period, and this makes it the world's second largest spender on military per capita after Qatar. That same year, Israel dedicated 4.5% of its GDP to bolstering its military sector, the 10th highest percentage globally. Historically, Israel's weapons imports have far outweighed its exports. However, CIPRA data shows that exports have begun to eclipse imports consistently during the last decade. Over 35 countries imported weapons from Israel, totaling $3.2 billion between 2018 and 2022. About a third of Israel's military exports were to India. In the period between 2018, Israel also imported weapons totaling $2.7 billion from only two countries, the US and Germany. More than 3/4 of Israel's military imports, amounting to $2.1 billion, came from the US, while the remaining $546 million came from Germany. From comparing both countries' military might, it can be deduced that Iran is ahead of Israel in the naval sector. Israel has 67 warships, while Iran has a long-standing fleet of 101 warships. Apart from this, Israel has 43,000 armored vehicles, while Iran has 65,000 armored vehicles. Iran is also heavy on Israel in terms of the number of troops. 30,000 pounds of pure destruction rained down from invisible bombers in the dead of night. American B-2 Spirit stealth aircraft delivered the most devastating blow to Iran's nuclear program in history, dropping massive bunker-buster bombs that shook the earth for miles. The secret mission took 20 years to plan and 36 hours to execute. But what happened next changed everything. Will Iran strike back? Can America prevent nuclear war? Join us as we find out what went down when the United States fighter jets dropped the hammer on Iran. 0210 hours, Tehran time. 7 invisible ghosts slice through Iranian airspace at 30,000 feet. No radar signature, no engine sound, and no prior warning. The lead Bravo 2 Spirit bomber approached its target, the Fattah fuel enrichment plant, buried 600 feet beneath solid rock 60 miles south of Tehran. Inside the cockpit, 2 aviators prepare to make history. Their aircraft carries 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators. Each bomb weighs 30,000 pounds. Each contains enough explosive power to level a city block. The mission clock reads 0640 Eastern Standard Time back in Washington. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth watches real-time satellite feeds from the Pentagon. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, monitors radio frequencies. Radio silence from the strike package means everything proceeds according to plan. 18 hours earlier, these same bombers departed Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. The pilots flew through the night, crossing continents without detection. Multiple aerial refueling operations kept the massive aircraft airborne. The mission requires 36 hours from takeoff to landing, the longest operational Bravo 2 flight in United States history. Now comes the moment that 2 full decades of secret engineering have been building toward. Hidden in plain sight, deep inside heavily guarded hangars, the weapon known as the GBU-57 finally gets its call. This isn't just another bomb, it's America's most classified bunker buster. Built with a special high-strength steel alloy, it's designed to do what ordinary bombs cannot. While other weapons explode on the surface, this one drills down through layers of rock and reinforced concrete, punching deep into targets buried far below ground. It's made to take out hardened facilities, those hidden command centers that enemy forces think are safe. But that night, the illusion ended. For the first time, the GBU-57, the so-called invisible hammer, is unleashed in real combat. Not in a test range, not in a simulation, but on a real enemy position. And what happens next changes the game. Target acquisition complete. Bomb bay doors open on the lead aircraft. 2 massive shapes drop into the darkness below. GPS guidance systems steer each penetrator toward precise impact coordinates. The weapons accelerate through thin mountain air, building devastating kinetic energy. Impact occurs in 3 seconds. The Earth shakes for miles in every direction. Deep underground, the first GBU-57 punches through 600 feet of rock and reinforced concrete before its warhead detonates. The second bomb follows an identical trajectory, ensuring complete destruction of the buried facility. Seismic monitors across the region register the underground explosions. 6 more Bravo 2 bombers execute identical attack runs across 3 separate nuclear sites. Natanz receives 4 more invisible hammers. Isfahan gets struck by submarine-launched Tomahawk cruise missiles. 75 precision-guided weapons find their targets within 25 minutes. Iranian air defenses never activate. No surface-to-air missiles launched. No fighter aircraft were scrambling to intercept. The strike package exits Iranian airspace as silently as it entered. Mission accomplished. Real-time satellite imagery streams into Pentagon situation rooms. Initial battle damage assessment reveals catastrophic destruction at all 3 facilities. Smoking craters mark locations where Iran's nuclear program operated just minutes before. Years of uranium enrichment capability vanish in less than half an hour. But then something unexpected flashes across the satellite feeds. A faint heat signature. At first it looks like static, maybe a glitch. But within seconds the signal grows stronger. Movement is detected at a 4th location. A site that was not on the original strike list. No known weapons, no confirmed command presence. It was supposed to be empty. Inside the operations center, intelligence analysts freeze. Eyes lock on their monitors. Fingers fly across keyboards. Multiple surveillance systems now point toward the new target. What they see makes their stomachs drop. Dozens of vehicles, unusual power activity. Underground entrances are disguised beneath old structures. Whatever's happening there, it's not routine. This site doesn't match any official records. It wasn't in satellite archives. It's as if it never existed until now. One analyst pulls up thermal overlays, another checks past drone footage. The pieces start to fit, and the picture is disturbing. The movement isn't defensive, it's logistical. Something is being prepared, moved, or hidden, fast. Then it hits them. This might be a shadow facility, part of a secret layer of Iran's nuclear program that was never disclosed. The kind of site meant to stay buried from the world. A backup plan, or worse, a next phase. Within minutes, calls go out. Defense officials huddle behind closed doors. Maps are redrawn. Strike options are reassessed. Because now the mission isn't over. It may have just begun. The smoking craters hide a deeper secret. America's most classified weapon just revealed itself after 2 decades of absolute silence. Defense Threat Reduction Agency Headquarters, McLean, Virginia. 20 years ago today, engineers began designing the ultimate bunker buster, codename Massive Ordnance Penetrator, classification level beyond top secret. The weapon system emerges from 2 decades of silence like a ghost materializing in broad daylight. Each GBU-57 measures 20 feet long and weighs 30,000 pounds, larger than most automobiles. The warhead contains 5,300 pounds of high explosives wrapped in specially forged steel alloy. This steel penetrates 600 feet of reinforced concrete before detonation. Only one aircraft in the world carries this weapon, the Bravo II Spirit stealth bomber. Boeing engineers spent 9 years integrating the massive penetrator with the bomber's internal weapons bay. Each Bravo II holds exactly 2 GBU-57s, no more, no less. The aircraft's stealth design keeps the radar cross-section smaller than a flying bird, despite carrying 60,000 pounds of bunker-busting explosives. Testing began in fiscal year 2024 at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. Engineers discovered critical integration flaws during initial trials. Software glitches prevented proper weapon release. Mechanical stress threatened aircraft structural integrity. 24 months of modification solved every problem. The smart fuse is the game changer, the hidden brain inside the bomb. It's not just a timer or a trigger. It's an advanced system that thinks in real time. As the weapon slams into the earth, the smart fuse begins to work instantly. Tiny sensors activate, reading everything around them. It scans the ground layer by layer, measures how thick the concrete is, detects how deep the steel reinforcements go, maps out underground chambers, tunnels, and vaults that might be hiding something important. It studies the resistance of each layer, calculating the best place to unleash its power. Instead of exploding on impact like older bombs, this one waits. It punches through soil, stone, and reinforced concrete with incredible force, digging its way deep into enemy territory. Only when the sensors confirm it's reached the heart of the target, where it will do the most damage, does the fuse allow the bomb to detonate. That delay isn't hesitation, it's precision. It ensures the explosion doesn't waste its power on surface walls or shallow bunkers. Instead, the smart fuse delivers destruction exactly where it's needed, deep underground, where the most protected assets live. It's a level of control and intelligence that transforms a simple bomb into a surgical weapon. One that doesn't guess, it knows. And when it finally goes off, the result is total collapse, leaving no place safe, not even beneath miles of earth. Now, 7 Bravo II Spirit bombers carry 14 of these weapons toward Iranian nuclear facilities. Each pilot trains for this moment throughout their entire career. The aircraft approaches Iranian airspace at 35,000 feet altitude, cruising at 450 knots airspeed. Ground-based radar systems sweep the night sky, searching for incoming threats. The stealth bombers remain completely invisible. Their composite skin absorbs electromagnetic energy like a sponge soaking water. Heat signature stays cooler than surrounding air temperature. Target acquisition begins 50 miles from Fordo facility. Onboard computers calculate wind speed, air density, and gravitational pull. GPS coordinates lock onto underground enrichment centrifuges with surgical precision. Bomb bay doors crack open against screaming wind. The lead pilot's finger hovers over the release button. 20 years of engineering, billions of dollars in development costs, thousands of hours testing and retesting. Everything depends on the next 3 seconds. Weapon release authorized. 2 massive shapes tumble through darkness toward Earth below. Their guidance fins adjust trajectory mid-flight, correcting for crosswinds and atmospheric pressure. Impact occurs exactly where engineers predicted 20 years ago. The underground explosion registers on seismic equipment across 3 countries. But something goes wrong with the 7th bomber. Warning lights flash red across the cockpit dashboard. Engine temperature spikes beyond safe limits. Fuel leak detected in the left wing tank. The pilot faces an impossible choice: abort the mission or risk everything for one final strike. The damaged bomber limps toward home, but Iranian radar operators just detected something that changes the entire strategic equation. 0315 hours, Tehran time. Iranian Air Defense Command stares at radar screens showing impossible readings. 67 aircraft signatures appear simultaneously across their airspace. Ghost contacts multiply every 30 seconds. Electronic warfare systems scream warnings throughout the command bunker. None of these contacts represent real aircraft. Operation Midnight Hammer begins with the greatest deception campaign in modern warfare. American planners spent 18 months crafting this elaborate shell game. Electronic warfare aircraft launched from 3 different carriers, broadcasting false radar signatures across Iranian detection networks. Each decoy transmitter mimics the radar cross-section of heavy bombers approaching from multiple directions. The real Bravo 2 Spirit bombers remain completely invisible. Ramstein Air Base, Germany. 2 hours earlier, the EC-130 Compass Call aircraft departed for the Eastern Mediterranean. These electronic warfare platforms carry advanced jamming equipment designed to blind enemy radar systems. Call sign Wizard. Flight begins broadcasting interference patterns across 17 different radar frequencies simultaneously. Iranian operators watch their screens dissolve into static. Meanwhile, decoy operations unfold across the Pacific Theater. 3 Bravo 2 Spirit bombers departed Andersen Air Force Base, Guam, flying westward toward Japan. Amateur aircraft spotters photograph the distinctive triangular silhouettes. Social media posts spread across the internet within minutes. Defense journalists track the flight path, reporting imminent strikes against North Korean facilities. The real strike package flies eastward from Missouri, maintaining complete radio silence. Advanced drone swarms launch from concealed positions throughout the Persian Gulf. 48 unmanned aerial vehicles stream toward Iranian coastlines, each broadcasting electronic signatures identical to cruise missiles. Iranian surface-to-air missile batteries activate, tracking dozens of incoming threats that exist only as electronic ghosts. Real Tomahawk cruise missiles approach from the opposite direction, skimming wavetops below radar coverage. Inside Tehran's Integrated Air Defense Center, chaos replaces calm efficiency. Radar operators report conflicting data streams. One screen shows massive bomber formations approaching from the northwest. Another displays cruise missile swarms attacking from the southeast. A third monitor tracks fighter aircraft penetrating from Syrian airspace. All contacts vanish simultaneously at 0205 hours. The electromagnetic spectrum clears like morning fog lifting from mountain peaks. Iranian radar systems reset to normal operating parameters. Operators breathe collective sighs of relief, believing they survived a sophisticated electronic warfare exercise. 7 actual bombers continue their approach, now just 15 minutes from weapon release. American cyber warfare specialists infiltrate Iranian communication networks at the exact moment radar systems reset. Malicious code spreads through military data links, creating 30-second delays in target tracking software. Iranian missile batteries receive false coordinates. Fighter aircraft get vectored toward empty airspace. The digital battlefield becomes as important as physical terrain, but Iranian intelligence anticipated American deception tactics. Hidden radar installations throughout the mountains activate backup tracking systems immune to electronic jamming. These hardened facilities detect something approaching from an unexpected vector. 7 faint signatures moving at exactly 450 knots, altitude 35,000 feet. The trap springs shut around America's most advanced stealth bombers just as weapons release begins. The hidden radar stations lock onto America's ghost bombers. But what happens next rewrites every rule of modern warfare. 0208 hours, Tehran time. 7 Bravo 2 Spirit bombers release their weapons simultaneously across 3 separate target zones. 14 GBU-57 penetrators tumble toward Earth in perfect synchronization. This moment marks the largest stealth bomber strike in United States military history. The numbers tell an incredible story. 125 aircraft participate in Operation Midnight Hammer. 7 Bravo 2 bombers carry the primary strike package. 24 Foxtrot, 22 Raptor fighters provide escort coverage. 16 Foxtrot, 15 Strike Eagles sweep Iranian airspace for hostile interceptors. 47 KC-135 Stratotankers deliver fuel across 3 separate aerial refueling tracks. The mission spans 4 continents and requires 36 hours from takeoff to landing. Each Bravo 2 bomber consumes 180,000 pounds of fuel during the round trip. Aerial refueling operations occur every 4 hours throughout the flight. Tanker aircraft rendezvous with the strike package over 12 different coordinates across international airspace. Not a single refueling operation appears on enemy radar screens. Advanced artificial intelligence systems coordinate the entire strike package in real time. Quantum encrypted data links connect every aircraft to satellite networks orbiting 200 miles above Earth. Each pilot receives targeting updates, weather forecasts, and threat assessments every 30 seconds throughout the mission. This represents the first combat deployment of fully integrated artificial intelligence battle management. Unmanned loyal wingman aircraft accompany the manned fighters for the first time in combat operations. 8 XQ-58 Valkyrie drones fly alongside the Raptor escorts, providing additional sensor coverage and electronic warfare capabilities. Each drone carries advanced radar jamming equipment designed to blind Iranian surface-to-air missile batteries. The technology merger creates unprecedented battlefield awareness. Deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado, Space Force operators track every moving object above Iranian airspace. Satellite constellations provide real-time imagery of the strike zones with resolution clear enough to identify individual vehicles. Hyperspectral sensors detect heat signatures from underground facilities moments after weapon impact. Iranian Air Defense Command launches their most advanced interceptor aircraft. 4 Sukhoi 35 superflankers scramble from Mehrabad Air Base near Tehran. These fighters carry long-range air-to-air missiles designed specifically to engage stealth aircraft. Their pilots represent Iran's most experienced combat aviators. The interceptors climb toward 35,000 feet, racing to engage the American bombers. But something unprecedented happens during the intercept attempt. American electronic warfare systems activate classified countermeasures never before used in combat. Iranian fighter radar systems display false target information. Missile guidance computers receive corrupted data streams. Pilot communication networks suffer complete blackouts. The superflankers fire missiles at empty airspace while the real bombers continue their weapon runs unopposed. Ground-based battle damage assessment begins immediately after weapon impact. Infrared satellites detect massive underground explosions at all 3 nuclear facilities. Seismic sensors register earth tremors equivalent to magnitude 4.7 earthquakes. Radiation monitoring equipment confirms no radioactive material escapes the destroyed facilities. Mission success exceeds all planning estimates. But as the strike package begins its journey home, Iranian cyber warfare specialists launch their own unprecedented counterstrike against American satellite networks orbiting high above the battlefield. Iranian cyber attacks cripple 3 American satellites within minutes, but Tehran's next move threatens to ignite World War III. 0730 hours, Monday morning. Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar, erupts in thunderous explosions. 18 Iranian ballistic missiles streak across the Persian Gulf at hypersonic speed. Short-range Fattah 310 missiles slam into aircraft hangars. Medium-range Sajal 2 warheads crater runway surfaces. Base sirens scream across the installation as personnel scramble for hardened shelters. 0 American casualties reported. The Iranian counterattack represents the most direct assault on United States military facilities since Pearl Harbor. Base commanders activate emergency protocols developed over decades of Middle Eastern deployments. Aircraft launch from undamaged sections of runway within 45 minutes. Patriot missile batteries swivel toward incoming threats. Medical teams establish casualty collection points despite no reported injuries. Tehran television broadcasts claim total destruction of American air power in the region. Meanwhile, diplomatic phone lines burn between world capitals. The British Prime Minister contacts President Trump at 0815 hours Eastern Standard Time. French President Emmanuel Macron demands immediate United Nations Security Council session. The German Chancellor calls for emergency NATO Article 4 consultations. Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin orders strategic rocket forces to heightened alert status. Global financial markets collapse within 2 hours of the missile strikes. Dow Jones Industrial Average plunges 800 points during pre-market trading. European stock exchanges suspend operations after catastrophic losses. Oil prices spike to $140 per barrel. Gold futures reach historic highs as investors flee to safe haven assets. Cryptocurrency markets experience unprecedented volatility. The world economy teeters on the edge of complete meltdown. Aircraft carriers USS Gerald Ford and USS Dwight Eisenhower receive emergency deployment orders. Both strike groups race toward the Persian Gulf at maximum speed. Destroyer escorts activate advanced radar systems. Submarine wolf packs take positions throughout the Strait of Hormuz. Marine expeditionary forces prepare for amphibious operations. Iran mobilizes its entire military for total war. Revolutionary Guard Corps commanders issue stand orders across all combat units. Ballistic missile battalions disperse to hardened launch sites throughout mountainous terrain. Fast attack crafts swarm from naval bases along the Persian Gulf coastline. Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon receive advanced anti-aircraft missiles. Syrian air defenses activate Russian-supplied S-400 systems. The Middle East becomes a powder keg waiting for a single spark. Secret diplomatic channels activate between Washington and Tehran through Swiss intermediaries. Back-channel communications flow through encrypted networks monitored by intelligence agencies worldwide. Negotiators work frantically to prevent regional conflict from escalating into global warfare. Time limits compress as military commanders on both sides prepare for expanded operations. Nuclear weapons storage facilities across multiple countries increase security protocols to maximum levels. But intercepted Iranian communications reveal something far more dangerous than regional warfare. Intelligence analysts decode references to sleeper cells activated across American cities. Domestic terrorist attacks planned for major population centers. Chemical weapons smuggled through southern border crossings. Biological agents prepared for release in subway systems. The strike on Iranian nuclear facilities just triggered a completely different kind of war, one that brings the battlefield directly to American soil. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.